Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon hails Indian Kiwi partnership ahead of meeting PM Modi in New Delhi, says Indian government incredibly generous. Prime Minister Modi to inaugurate the Raisina Dialogue, India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics. US President Donald Trump says he will speak with Putin to discuss Ukraine ceasefire talks. US deports hundreds of alleged Venezuelan gang members despite the court order. And Indian movies reign supreme at Asian Film Awards. All We Imagine as Light is the best film. Shahana Goswami bags Best Actress Award, while Sandhya Suri gets Best New Director Award for Santosh. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, who arrived in India on Sunday, will hold talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday, covering various aspects of India-New Zealand relations. Prime Minister Modi will host a lunch in honour of the visiting dignitary. The visiting minister is also scheduled to meet President Draupadi Murmu. Luxon will attend the inaugural session of the Raisina Dialogue as the chief guest and deliver the keynote address. Prime Minister Luxon is scheduled to visit Mumbai on 19th March, where he will have interactions with Indian business leaders and representatives from various walks of life. The visit of Prime Minister Luxon underscores the long-standing and enduring ties between India and New Zealand. All right, we'll get you visuals from Rajghat now, where the visiting New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon is paying tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. So he's visiting Rajghat to pay his respects at Mahatma Gandhi's memorial. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon at Rajghat, paying a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. Prime Minister of New Zealand in a short while from now will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad House and will engage in discussions covering a wide range of topics, including trade, defence cooperation and people-to-people exchanges. The visiting New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon shared pictures of him meeting the Indian community members. On social media platform X, he wrote, and I quote him, "The Indian community is the third largest ethnic group in New Zealand. India is our largest source of skilled migrants and our second largest source of international students. In short, Indian Kiwis make a massive contribution to New Zealand, and I am proud of what this community does for our country. I brought along a senior delegation of community and business leaders here to India, the largest ever group to accompany a New Zealand PM on a foreign trip. It was great to catch up with them after our arrival and before we kick off our events in Delhi and Mumbai," unquote. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon hailed Indian-Kiwi partnership and said that Indian government incredibly generous.
You're seeing an Indian government that's been incredibly generous and very, very welcoming to New Zealand, and it speaks to the way that they also want to deepen this relationship in the same way we have brought the biggest delegation that's ever accompanied a Prime Minister. We've brought a business delegation, we've brought a community delegation, a kapahaka team, because we actually want to make this as big as it possibly can be, because the size of the prize is immense, and actually what it's all about It's about actually getting cash back into Kiwis' pockets, and we do that by growing our economy and expanding our trade opportunities. That's important.
In the spirit of deepening economic cooperation, India and New Zealand have revived long-stalled free trade negotiations. This significant step was marked by a meeting of India's Minister for Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, with his New Zealand counterpart, laying the foundation of a momentous partnership towards strengthening the economic and trade ties between the two countries. The India and New Zealand FTA negotiations aim to achieve balanced outcomes that enhance supply chain integration and improve market access. This milestone reflects a shared vision for a stronger economic partnership, fostering resilience and prosperity. And Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the Raisina Dialogue, India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, on Monday. The 10th edition of the Raisina Dialogue will be held from 17 to 19 March in New Delhi. Prime Minister of New Zealand, Christopher Luxon, will join the inaugural session as a chief guest and deliver the keynote address. The 10th Raisina Dialogue will witness participation of representatives from about 125 countries, including ministers, former heads of state and heads of government, military commanders, captains of industry, technology leaders, academics, journalists, among others. Over the course, decision makers and thought leaders of the world will engage each other across conversations in various formats over 6 thematic pillars. The theme of the 2025 edition is Kal Chakra, People, Peace and Planet. Over 3,500 participants from about 125 countries will be joining the dialogue in person. Prime Minister Modi has stressed that India is not neutral but firmly committed to peace. In a podcast interview with AI researcher and US-based podcaster Lex Fridman, PM Modi emphasized that the world listens whenever India speaks for peace because it is the land of Gautam Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi. Referring to Russia-Ukraine conflict, PM Modi said India has close ties with both the countries. He also said that India is not neutral in the conflict, while reiterating that it stands with peace.
मेरा रशिया के साथ भी घनिष्ठ संबंध है, यूक्रेन के साथ भी घनिष्ठ संबंध है। मैं राष्ट्रपति पुतिन के सामने बैठ करके मीडिया को कह सकता हूं कि युद्ध का समय नहीं है, और मैं जेलेंस्की को भी एक मित्र भाव से उनको भी कहता हूं कि भाई दुनिया कितनी ही आपके साथ खड़ी क्यों न हो जाए, युद्ध भूमि में कभी भी परिणाम नहीं निकलने वाला है। परिणाम तो टेबल पर ही निकलने वाला है, और टेबल पे परिणाम तब निकलेगा जब उस टेबल पर यूक्रेन और रशिया दोनों मौजूद होंगे। पूरी दुनिया यूक्रेन के साथ बैठ करके कितनी माथापच्ची कर ले, उसे परिणाम नहीं आता है। दोनों पक्षों का होना जरूरी है। और शुरू में समझा नहीं पा रहा था, लेकिन आज जो इस प्रकार का वातावरण बना है, उससे मुझे लगता है कि अब रशिया, यूक्रेन, मैं आशावादी हूं कि बहुत उन्होंने खुद ने तो गंवाया है, दुनिया का बहुत नुकसान हुआ है। ग्लोबल साउथ को सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ है। पूरे विश्व में फूड, फ्यूल एंड फर्टिलाइजर उसका संकट रहा है। तो पूरा विश्व चाहता है जल्दी से जल्दी शांति हो, और मैं हमेशा कहता हूं कि मैं शांति के पक्ष में हूं। मैं न्यूट्रल नहीं हूं, मैं शांति के पक्ष, मेरा एक पक्ष है और मैं उसके लिए प्रयत्नरत हूं।
Prime Minister Modi also highlighted the current geopolitical scenario around the world, addressing issues such as Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism, the India-China relationship and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. While speaking about Pakistan, PM Modi stated that every attempt by India to foster peace was met with hostility and betrayal.
प्रॉक्सी वॉर चल रहा है। अब ये कोई आइडियोलॉजी नहीं है। आइडियोलॉजी ऐसी थोड़ी होती है, लोगों को मारो काटो, टेररिस्टों को एक्सपोर्ट करने का काम चल रहा है। और सिर्फ हमारे साथ ही नहीं, अब दुनिया में कहीं पर भी टेररिस्ट की घटना घटती है तो कहीं न कहीं सूत्र पाकिस्तान जाकर के अटकते हैं। अब देखिए 9/11 इतनी बड़ी घटना घटी अमेरिका में, उसका मेन जो सूत्रधार था ओसामा बिन लादेन, वो आखिर में कहाँ से मिला? पाकिस्तान में ही शरण लेके बैठा था। तो दुनिया पहचान गई है कि ये प्रकार से आतंकवादी प्रवृत्ति, आतंकवादी मानसिकता, और वो सिर्फ भारत ही नहीं, दुनिया भर के लिए परेशानी का केंद्र बन चुका है। और हम लगातार उनको कहते रहे हैं कि इस रास्ते से किसका भला होगा, आप आतंकवाद के रास्ते को छोड़ दीजिए, ये स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म जो है वो बंद होना चाहिए, नॉन स्टेट एक्टरों के हाथ में सब छोड़ दिया है, क्या होगा फायदा। और इसकी शांति के प्रयासों के लिए मैं खुद लाहौर चला गया था। मेरे प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद मैंने मेरे शपथ समारोह में पाकिस्तान को स्पेशली इनवाइट किया था ताकि एक शुभ शुरुआत हो, लेकिन हर बार हर अच्छे प्रयासों का परिणाम नकारात्मक निकला।
Prime Minister Modi emphasized the importance of strengthening ties between India and China despite past tensions. He advocated for dialogue over discord and cooperation over conflict as the way forward.
2020 में जो सीमा पर जो घटनाएं घटी उसके कारण हमारे बीच स्थितियां काफी दूरी की बन गई, लेकिन अभी राष्ट्रपति श्री के साथ मेरा मिलना हुआ, उसके बाद सीमा पर जो
All right, we'll go across live to Hyderabad House in the national capital. These are the live visuals we are showing you where the visiting New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon is meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So these are the live visuals from Hyderabad House in the national capital where New Zealand Prime Minister and Indian Prime Minister, they will hold a meeting. Prime Minister of New Zealand will meet his Indian counterpart to explore areas of cooperation, deepen political and security ties and strengthen the economic relationship. So marking his first official visit to India as Prime Minister, Luxon has brought along New Zealand's largest ever delegation on a foreign trip comprising community and business leaders. And the delegation aims to strengthen economic and people-to-people ties between the two nations. Peter Luxon had said that India is our largest source of skilled migrants and our second largest source of international students. So these are the visuals we are getting you live from Hyderabad House in the national capital. You can see New Zealand Prime Minister Peter Luxon along with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They will hold a meeting and then several MOUs are likely to be signed and the press statements will be issued later in the day. Indian Kiwis make a massive contribution to New Zealand and I am proud of what this community does for our country. This is what Peter Luxon, Prime Minister of New Zealand, had tweeted and will keep you updated on this. Moving on, updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russia has underscored its demand that Ukraine be excluded from NATO membership and maintain a neutral stance in any prospective peace agreement. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko in a statement emphasized the importance of including stringent security guarantees in peace accord. Grushko detailed that Russia expects these guarantees to ensure Ukraine's neutral status and prevent NATO countries from integrating it into their alliance, seeking robust assurances as part of the diplomatic negotiations. The Deputy Foreign Minister's statements were published by Russian media outlet Izvestia, reflecting Russia's firm position on Ukraine's geopolitical alignment and the broader security dynamics in the region. And US President Donald Trump said he plans to speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday. Talking to reporters on board Air Force One, Trump termed the forthcoming talks a good chance to end the 3-year-old conflict.
To announce maybe by Tuesday, I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. And a lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
Earlier, US envoy for the conflict Steve Witkoff told the US news channel that he thinks the two presidents are going to have a really good and positive discussion this week. The US envoy added that he believed a deal would be reached in the coming weeks. US President Donald Trump stated on Sunday that he will not create exemptions for steel and aluminium tariffs. He confirmed that reciprocal tariffs, including duties on automobiles, will be imposed starting April 2nd. Last month, Trump implemented a flat 25% tariff on steel and aluminium imports as part of his strategy to support US industries and escalate the trade war. He also confirmed that these reciprocal tariffs will apply to both friends and foes of the United States.
I have no intention of it, no. April 2nd is a liberating day for our country. We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away because they had no clue what they were doing. And April 2nd, I would have made it April 1st, but you know what April 1st is, April Fool's Day. I figured, I don't like doing it, but I made it April 2nd. But it's a liberation day for our country because we're going to be getting back a lot of the wealth that we so foolishly gave up to other countries, including friend and foe.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Benjamin Netanyahu seeking to dismiss head of Israel's internal security agency amid tensions over security and allegations of media leaks. 59 dead at nightclub fire in North Macedonia. And Vatican releases first image of Pope Francis in hospital. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. In a bold move, the US has deported 238 alleged members of the infamous Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua to El Salvador, where they have been placed in one of the country's most secure prisons. This marks a new chapter in the US crackdown on transnational gangs. DD India's Aarti Rana brings us this report.
On Sunday, a flight carrying 238 members of the infamous Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua landed in El Salvador, where they were immediately taken to a high-security prison. But the deportation isn't just a routine handover. The US government is invoking a law from 1798 known as the Alien Enemies Act, rarely used in modern history, to bypass the courts and deport these gang members with lightning speed. The Trump administration calls it a critical measure to protect national security. President Trump, using the Alien Enemies Act, has justified these actions, labeling the Tren de Aragua gang as an invasion, targeting the US. He argues the group's criminal activities pose an existential threat. The deportations took place despite a US federal judge granting a temporary suspension of the expulsions order. White House denied that the court order was not implemented, saying the plane had already left the United States by the time. Civil rights groups are now sounding the alarm, calling the use of this historic law to justify mass deportation and abuse of the power.
The Alien Enemies Act was enacted in 1798, and it's a wartime authority that can only be used when the United States is in a declared war with another nation or another nation is invading our country. It cannot be used against simply a gang. And notably, it's only been used 3 times in our country's history, all during declared wars: the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II.
With legal challenges already in place, the fight over the Alien Enemies Act could redefine the future course of US immigration policy. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele sent the alleged gang members to the country's maximum security terrorism confinement center, which is a mega prison southeast of capital San Salvador with a capacity for 40,000 prisoners. Aarti Rana for DD India.
And here's what we know about Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan gang with a widespread presence. A ruthless gang known for extreme violence, including rape, maiming and murder. The gang has been linked to some of the most horrific crimes in the recent years. Started in Tocoron prison in Venezuela's Aragua state, it rose amid the rise of crime bosses or pranes who ran drug and kidnapping networks. By 2014, Tren de Aragua had become a nationwide criminal syndicate. After Venezuela's 2017 economic collapse, the gang expanded its operations, taking advantage of mass migration and spreading across South and Central America, even reaching the United States. Now present in 8 countries including the US, Tren de Aragua is estimated to have 5,000 members with annual profits of $10 to $15 million. Known for its brutal tactics including murder and torture, the gang is often compared to the violent MS-13. In the US, Tren de Aragua has raised alarm for its involvement in crimes such as cell phone thefts, retail robberies and drug trafficking. The gang is also believed to recruit members from migrant shelters and is linked to shootings and human trafficking, especially targeting Venezuelan migrants. Moving on, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu seeking to dismiss the head of Israel's internal security agency, who swiftly called the move political, said the premier expected personal loyalty. Netanyahu and Shin Bet head Ronen Bar have been engaged in a public spat in recent weeks over reforms to the agency, which has been accused of failing to prevent the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack that triggered conflict in Gaza. At the same time, the Shin Bet has been conducting an investigation into some of Netanyahu's aides for allegedly receiving payments from Qatar. Previously, Netanyahu has accused Bar of being behind what he called part of an ongoing campaign of threats and media leaks.
I have had an ongoing lack of trust in the head of Shin Belt, a distrust that has only grown over time. Due to ongoing lack of trust, I have decided to bring a proposal to the government to end the tenure of the head of Shin Belt.
North Macedonia has declared a 7-day period of mourning after a fire in a nightclub left at least 59 dead and scores injured. Authorities have detained 15 people for questioning, and the Interior Minister said a preliminary inspection revealed the club was operating without a proper license. Here's more.
A devastating fire broke out in a nightclub in North Macedonia's Koshania earlier on Sunday, killing 59 people and injuring more than 100. The fire broke out at the early hours of Sunday during a concert attended by some 1,500 people at a nightclub in Koshania. The fire was triggered by fireworks set off on the stage. Most of the victims were between the age group of 14 to 27 and suffered injuries from the stampede that occurred in the panic while trying to exit. Officials say about 148 people were hospitalized in the capital Skopje, Kosanie and in surrounding towns, as well as being taken to neighboring countries for treatment. 70 patients had burns and carbon monoxide poisoning.
We treated about 70 patients here. Unfortunately, there were also deceased persons. The patients had burns and carbon monoxide poisoning. We gave them oxygen and examined them and treated their injuries.
Angry relatives waited outside the hospital for news of the victims of the fire.
After this tragedy, what do I need this life for? I don't need it. I had one child and I lost him. What do I need this life for anymore?
North Macedonia's Prime Minister, Hristijan Mikowski, said an investigation into the nightclub fire had found the club's license was not legitimate.
We have information that at the time of the disaster, the nightclub had a falsified license issued in March 2024 for a bribe. The document was issued illegally with the legal stamp of the economy minister and signed by the then officials of the same ministry. There are many questions there that the investigation should answer.
Interior Minister Pashe Toskowski said the organizers of the event and the owners of the venue had been arrested. More than 20 people were under investigation, 15 of whom were in police custody. The leaders of countries bordering North Macedonia, as well as European Union, offered condolences and support to the Balkan state. Anamika Pandey's report for DD India.
And the Vatican on Sunday released the first image of Pope Francis in hospital since the 88-year-old pontiff began treatment for double pneumonia. The Pope was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on February 14 with a severe respiratory infection that has required evolving treatment. He has not been seen in public since. The Vatican said the Pope had celebrated Mass with other priests in the chapel on Sunday. The Pope had been receiving oxygen throughout his treatment in the hospital. And the 18th Asian Film Awards held on March 16 celebrated the brilliance of Indian cinema. Payal Kapadia's All We Imagine as Light clinched the prestigious Best Film Award, while Shahana Goswami's powerful performance in Santosh earned her the Best Actress accolade, marking a triumphant moment for Indian talent. Directed by Sandhya Suri, Santosh also secured the Best New Director Award, showcasing India's storytelling prowess. Held in Hong Kong, the award spotlighted 30 films from 25 countries, with Indian entries standing tall. The event, established by the Busan, Hong Kong and Tokyo Film Festivals, continues to honor Asian cinematic excellence and foster regional collaboration. All right, we'll get you the visuals from the Hyderabad House in the national capital. These are the visuals where New Zealand Prime Minister Peter Luxon is meeting Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. These are the visuals from Hyderabad House. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is meeting New Zealand Prime Minister Peter Luxon along with his delegation. So both of them are meeting to explore areas of cooperation, deepen political and security ties and strengthen the economic relationship. And post the meeting between the two delegations, several MOUs are likely to be signed, and then the press statements will be issued later after the meeting. So marking his first official visit to India as Prime Minister, Luxon has brought along New Zealand's largest ever delegation on a foreign trip comprising community and business leaders, and the delegation aims to strengthen economic and people-to-people ties between the two nations. Prime Minister of New Zealand had tweeted that India is our largest source of skilled migrants and our second largest source of international students. And he also posted that Indian Kiwis make a massive contribution to New Zealand, and I am proud of what this community does for our country. His visit includes engagements in Delhi and Mumbai, where he is expected to hold discussions with Indian business leaders and the government officials. Importantly, Luxon's visit comes at a time when both India and New Zealand are looking to enhance trade and investment ties, particularly in the fields of education, technology and agri-business. All right, we'll keep you updated on this, but that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.